Hey folks, Quillikeen here, and welcome to Let's Try Divinity Dragon Commander. This is a real-time strategy game in which, well, your character is kind of a dragon, and in addition to being a normal RTS where you've got a base and you've got units, and you build the units, and you move the units around, and you kill other people, you can also sort of engage or morph into your dragon form, and it turns into sort of like flight, combat, weirdness. I don't know, it's hard to describe. Let's just go and see. So this is the press beta, which includes the first chapter of the single-player campaign. So we're going to go into that. We'll see a little bit what the feel of the story is like, and then we'll look at some of the single-player missions just a little bit. So far, it feels like the missions are relatively samey. There doesn't seem, at least so far that I've experienced, there don't seem to be a lot of kind of special objectives in the missions. They're sort of more straight-up combat. Anyone who's played something like a Total War series might feel very at home with the single-player campaign, because there's a strategic map with an overview of the world, and you can sort of move your tokens around there, and then if a battle starts as a result of these token moves, then you go into the real-time strategy mode at that point. Now, it's still relatively early on in the campaign, so I don't have a ton of units unlocked. And you can imagine later on, I'm certain there's going to be quite a few of them. So we are in turn number 7 of the main campaign. I got some generic campaign resources over here, a certain amount of gold, a certain amount of research points, and this stage kind of reminds me a little bit of the StarCraft 2 main campaign, in that there are multiple rooms I can sort of wander around in, or I can go ahead and not exactly pick the next missions. The missions don't seem to be, well, there don't seem to be any missions at all, so much as just, you know, strategic movement on the campaign map. There's lots of different characters I can talk to. The voice acting is not too bad. I've got the sound set to be quite low, though, so if I start talking to the characters, you probably won't hear much, just because in-game, in combat, it would be just far too loud. So we'll move to a couple of screens here to showcase, actually there's a couple of interesting things. So this is the bridge, where I mostly just choose the next mission. We can also do something like head to the engineering bay and start to spend some of these research points. So we've got Grumio over here, who's got a great personality, and I like him, and he's got some sort of machine over here, and we can use his machine to this is our unit research screen, so this will allow us to unlock or upgrade our basic unit types. So I have the Grenadier, the Trooper, Shaman, and a Transport already unlocked. I've also improved my Grenadier by giving them improved range, and so that's pretty great. And so what I could do is unlock one of these other ones, but I'm actually tempted to go to the advanced screen and unlock some sort of advanced unit at this point. Like the Devastator. I don't know what they are, but they sound pretty good, right? So they have a research cost of 10 beakers. I have 16, so that's fine. If I wanted to, now, this will take a certain amount of time to research. I could also insta-buy it by spending double, and then I could buy it now. I'm going to go ahead and just do the slow research, and that'll be fine. Seems like an okay choice. I don't mind that at all. So that's where you unlock and improve your units. But because you are a dragon, you yourself are a unit on the battlefield, you can also upgrade yourself over here at Max's Tomb of Wonder. Is that what it said? Yeah, the Tome of Wonder. And in fact, I've done that. I've unlocked a few auras. And it seems to be pretty cool, because when I morph into dragon form, you can still command your troops at that point, sort of direct them in different decisions. So I fly with my group of troops, and I've taken buffs that increase their damage. I let them heal a little bit over time, and I've also increased my own damage there. So I've got 6 beakers left, so I can unlock something else. A little bit of life drain, which is pretty great. Actually, I'm going to grab this breaching fire. Just in case I start to run into some heavier units. So far, it's all been relatively light units, but, you know, what the heck, we're going to start researching that. It might come in handy. It looks like I probably need to go to the bar to talk to someone before to let me continue the campaign, or at least go there. I don't think I'm going to bother actually interacting with them. But they're kind of interesting. This guy, is there something back here? Oh, there's a music box. This guy's kind of douchey. The one on the bridge, the lizard guy on the bridge, he's like a complete bigot, but I kind of like his personality. He's like super aristocratic, you know, better than everyone else kind of thing. She's kind of interesting too. So far I haven't seen any personality in Catherine. And then there's Scarlet here. When you get the introduction with her the first time, she's like, I'm the token sex kitten or something. I don't know. It was kind of awkward. But maybe the NPCs will be fleshed out over time. Anyway, we don't want to go into the story too much because, you know, spoilers and such, but well, let's take a look at the strategic map at this point. So, on the strategic map, yeah, see, started researching things. And this game has a very potent multiplayer mode as well, so you would see this sort of thing in multiplayer, I presume. I haven't played a whole lot of the multiplayer, but that's actually, if you buy it now, you get instant access to the beta, the multiplayer beta, not the single-player campaign beta. So if you want to play a cool RTS with some interesting twists, well, then you can start that right away. So in this particular game, I have claimed, this is my capital province, and there are a few neutral provinces which I claimed pretty quickly as well. But this province was actually controlled by my opponent, so I've actually won a real offensive battle, which made me feel really awesome. And now I think I'm going to try to move over here. They've got a war factory over here. It'd be really nice to capture it. And actually, I've just noticed I do not have a building in this province yet. I have a decent amount of gold, so I think I will try to build something over here. There are tutorials when you start. I don't know how complete they were. For example, I don't think they told me that I could right-click on a province and build things or play cards. Play cards, I should mention. So I've got some sort of deck of cards going on here, and there are different buildings that can generate more cards for you every turn. So different cards do different things. Some are used for combat, some are used outside of combat, like the revenue increase. So what I should do is find my province with the biggest gold production, which, yeah, I was going to say, is probably my capital over here. It produces 4 gold per turn. So I will play the card for the revenue increase, which seems like a pretty good idea. So it'll actually generate 8 gold for me this turn. Seems smart. Meanwhile, let's build something over here. You can have one building in every province, and since this is mostly frontline, I think I'm going to build another war factory here to produce some more units. So that will be there, and now I can right-click on it and purchase units. So I will, in fact, do that. Now, you can only purchase a number of units in a province equal to the amount of gold it produces. So actually, this province can only ever produce 2 units per turn, so maybe that was a little bit foolish, but I don't know, we'll make do. I already have 4 troopers, which isn't bad, so let me throw in an extra grenadier and a shaman and get that going. They're going to show up as sort of grayed out units over here, these tokens. I can't move them yet. But the rest of my army, I could move them, and it might be a little bit difficult, but I think I'm going to go for Carvium? Whatever, this place right here with the war factory. It would be much easier for me to grab this province because it looks like it doesn't have a whole lot of units in there. Now, they'll still have a base, and they'll probably still have a few basic units, or at least the ability to produce the units, but this will start them off with a few. And plus, they've got the chemical warfare upgrade, which is going to be a little sketchy, but we'll see what we can do. So my troopers, I'm going to move them, yeah, all 4 of them over here. My grenadier, and I've got a shaman unit, and that looks pretty good to me. Plus, I've got some mercenary cards that I'll be able to use to improve my my battle situation if need be. So I'm going to go ahead and end the turn. It'll process things, and it should trigger a combat. We'll see the various units moving around, different things happening. And you can skip this if you don't want to watch it. No, he's trying to spawn more units, although I don't think they'll be active this turn yet. Hopefully not. Lots of things happening, and there will be a combat. So you can see the cross swords over here indicating that a combat will start at the end of this turn or on this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and click Go to Battle. So it'll bring us to the battle ready screen. My opponent has played a card to add 2 Devastator mercenaries on his side, which is scaring me a little bit. He's actually got quite a bit of things in here, so I will definitely add some cards myself. We're going to add in some extra shaman mercenaries and some grenadier mercenaries, and that should help considerably. I'm not convinced I want my shamans to move faster. It feels weird because, like, they're not really combat units. Aren't they going to get ahead of the battle? And I don't necessarily care about shipyards right now anyway, so that'll do. Now, you do get to choose how the battle will be resolved. If you pick any of these guys, so if I click Imperial Army or any of these people, the battle will be auto-resolved. Imperial Army is just like the default auto-resolution, and then my generals over here, each one of them have different types of abilities. So depending on what units you send into battle or some other situation, you may want to use one or the other. But of course, we're not here to see a battle get auto-resolved. We are here to command the battle ourselves and win. So we're actually going to start this at a bit of a disadvantage, so this may be a harder map. In fact, it's entirely possible that I will lose. I've not yet lost the battle. Obviously, at the start of any single-player campaign in RTS, they're generally going to be relatively easy, so it's probably going to be okay. So we get loading screen tips, of course. So Quilitine, the Zealots versus Farin, the Imperials. There are 3 variants of dragons, one of which is sort of well-balanced, one of which seems to be tougher, so is probably going to be a better pick if you want to be in dragon form a lot. And then another one is weaker, but tends to give you more sort of passive benefits to your army, and that's the one if you want to play the game as a more traditional RTS as opposed to doing the whole dragon thing. So I've paused the game here just to be able to show you some things on the screen. Up at the top over here, we've got this 3,000 is the total population available in this province for my military. And the number on the left, the 0 currently, is the number of recruits I currently have available. So this population here will slowly tick down as people become recruited over time. I can build more recruitment centers to recruit people faster. And you spend the recruits. The recruits are your currency that you use to, say, create units, but also build buildings, that sort of thing. So this is the basic economic model in the game. Engaging the dragon form also consumes a certain amount of recruits as they're sacrificed in some sort of ritual or something, I don't know. So down on the screen we've got our mini-map here. The blue areas are me, the red areas are them. White areas are neutral buildings that can be captured. Now generally speaking, you want to try to capture them as quickly as possible because they will allow you to build more units or build more recruitment centers. So we're going to try to do that ASAP. I'm going to select all my units. I'm just going to turn around here and try to see, oh, right over here. Okay, I'm going to direct my units. Meanwhile, back at home, I'm going to build a battle forge, which is basically a barracks, and maybe throw in some turrets. Let's see, another battle forge will be good. Oh, I don't. Okay, I do have enough resources for the one. I need 15 recruits. They're ticking down. Come on, give me some more recruits so I can build this and start producing units as fast as possible. There's actually an unclaimed. Oh, it's just a transportation or a dock. That's for naval units, which are not terribly important to me. Alright, hopefully we can capture that. There we go. We've done enough recruits now, so we can build that second battle forge. Excellent. So my troops are moving forward. They're mostly like robots. They're all like war mechs and that sort of thing, battle mechs. There's storyline reasons for why that's what is there. So if we can capture this, I'll be pretty happy, because it should give us slightly better production than my opponents. Now what else do we have? We have, okay, that's just another naval thing. Although there is another base over here that my opponent is going to capture, and again, that will help their production. So I would prefer if they didn't do that, but what can you do? So I'm just going to set a rally point on my battle forges a little bit forward here, and I'm just going to start producing units. Troopers are pretty cheap, and they're good against light units, and most of what we can produce at this point in the game are light units anyway, although they do have a couple of Devastator units. But we can probably blow those up in dragon form, actually, especially since we got that ability. Oh, which I forgot to put on my toolbar at the start of the battle. That was dumb. Battle Forge. We're definitely going to add some turrets in here. Very good passive defenses. And speaking of passive defenses, looks like they're moving in over on this angle here. So, hang on, you guys. Come over here. You're going to be engaging these guys. And actually, there's no spot for turrets on this side of the map. I'm actually quite surprised at that. Nor inside my base. I can put one here, but I'm not convinced that's really going to help all that much. So very shortly we're going to drop into dragon form for the first time. So there's voice acting the whole time while, you know, battle's going on. The effects are fine. The graphics are fine for this kind of game. The trees are maybe a little janky, but what can you do? You guys, let's move over here and capture this. That would be a huge coup if we could pull that off. Meanwhile, oh, I see that they're sending out some people, and this is a good time for us to drop into dragon form. All right. So we can still select our units and tell them to attack. I mean, they will auto attack as things get closer, but we can also start bombarding these people with our fire attacks. Now we can gain aggro if we get too close. They will start to prioritize us. We can take a fair amount of damage compared to our normal units, but we still die off pretty quickly. So I'm just going to try to assist as much as possible here. They do have a good number of troopers though, so I'm a little concerned that we may not be able to hold this position. Now, the one thing I have not yet figured out is how to drop out of dragon form other than just sacrificing myself. It doesn't matter how you, like, dying as a dragon doesn't really matter, except that returning to dragon form will cost you 20 resources. So there's certainly a cost to that. Now, we can juke, but I find it very difficult to do. I seem to be doing okay, dodging these missiles. Alright, and move forward, and let's capture this stuff, because if we can pull that off... Well, we're not actually going to be able to fight these guys directly in here. I don't know, I'll try to put in some more damage, and probably lose my dragon form pretty quickly here. I mean, like I said, I can command my forces while I'm in dragon form, but I'm not sure that I can still build in dragon form. There we go, I've been killed. So, now that I'm out here, I can start to build this stuff up. And And I've captured the territory over here as well, so I want to build this. And that.
Reinforcements requested.
And we'll start producing some grenadiers and a bunch of troopers. We'll throw in a couple more shamans and then lots of troopers. So I've got 4 battle forges right now, and I've just burned through all my recruitment points kicking around. And then I'm going to tell my guys to pull back as much as possible. You guys, wait there. Oh, there's turrets here I can capture. Oh, let's do that. Yeah. I mean, it costs recruits to do that, and your total population does not regenerate at any point, so, you know, you do have to be smart about your expenditures. But right now I'm feeling pretty good. This feels like a pretty won battle at this point. So, you know, so far it's pretty conventional RTS. It makes me think a lot of, what game am I thinking of? Supreme Commander, sort of, but with a steampunk, magic punk kind of feel, which there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind that at all. It'll be interesting to see once the full game is released what the full campaign is like, how much variety that feels like there is in the levels. Obviously, once we unlock more and more units, it'll become much more relevant as well, especially when there's always going to be a sort of rock, paper, scissor element in the game. You know, light unit, this is good versus light unit, this is good versus medium units, this is good versus heavy units, there's flying units and ground units, and so you're going to want to, like, create an appropriate composition based on what you're facing. So at this point, I'm just going to sit here and continue to build up more units, wait to see if they move out anywhere, and then once I've got a kind of critical mass, I'm going to send everyone in together while I drop into dragon form once more. There you go. There's a fair number of hotkeys to control everything, which is pretty good. It looks like they're about to move out, but I should have a superior force here. We should clump up a little bit more, though. And we've got the turrets to help out as well. Alright, so I'm going to create one more wave of troops. Just regular trooper units is going to be totally fine. And there we go, we've got 20. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to engage with everyone, and I'm going to drop into dragon form. I must be near friendly units? Okay, I thought I was, but there we go. I also have a jetpack. I can go really fast with it. Because, you know, why be a normal dragon when you can be a jetpack dragon instead? So I'm going to help out on this flank since it's definitely going to be the weakest. Oh, these Devastators apparently do like huge AoE. They seem to have some sort of mortar attack, is what it feels like anyway. That's down. Down. Although, since I do have so many auras that buff my units, maybe I should actually just be closer to my my bigger army. Now, I've actually already captured these turrets, and if I could figure out how to build while in dragon form, then I would definitely upgrade them. It's possible that that's just not an option for a variety of balance reasons, and I wouldn't blame them for that. Oh, okay, I want to get out of here. Now, if a missile isn't locked on, it will still be locked on at this point, even though I've kind of jetpacked away. So you want to turn around and keep your eyes open. But I'm pretty sure the battle has been won here. We're going to destroy that building, destroy this last turret, try to juke around the missiles. There we are. And everyone move in, finish them off. And that was a pretty successful battle. I'm not even sure that I need to spend all those cards to get on equal footing. But the thing is, I find that it snowballs really fast. Oh, I'm being bombarded by something. I think that's ship. Or possibly this turret. Yeah, there's a missile coming in. Dodge. Excellent. Oh! Almost got hit there. And victory is ours. So we've claimed another territory. So yeah, like I keep saying, at this point everything feels a little bit samey and a little bit easy as an RTS veteran. I do have to admit, like the first combat I did, I certainly had a hard time. Like it was a long slog because I didn't have that initial momentum. I let the enemy capture a few of those bases, then it was quite difficult. And I suspect that in multiplayer this game is really, really good because I can see a lot of interesting balance. And again, that sort of rock, paper, scissor mechanism. And not to mention, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't remember. The strategic mode, the back and forthness, the ability to go down and be a dragon. I really think that the multiplayer probably has a lot of interesting complexity built to it, especially with the depth of units available in this game. So that's pretty cool. The storyline, again, seems to have kind of an interesting thing. Not really able to see to the greatest depth. And again, I'm worried about the actual combat being kind of samey, which is the only downside to it. Because when you compare it to something like, you know, Warcraft and Starcraft and all those, most of the missions, well, there were no two missions that were the same. Almost to the point that you craved a kind of a normal mission from time to time, but it did keep the experience very fresh. So we'll see. So far, I think it's quite interesting, and I actually look forward to the release of this because I'm curious to see how the storyline goes. Certainly, this campaign mode over here. I love this newspaper. The campaign mode here, where you've got, you know, the ability to move around your ship. It looks beautiful. There's decent voice acting, great character design. I really have to admit, there's a lot of polish put into this, so hopefully that the polish pays off into decent gameplay as well. Anyway, that is it. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.